G'day folks and welcome to the Encounters Down Under podcast. I'm your host Anthony Goodall and I invite guests to the show to share their amazing encounters with aliens and UFOs. If you or someone you know has had an encounter down under or anywhere in the world for our new segment Encounters Unbound, please get in touch with me via the Encounters Down Under Facebook page or email at australianufosightingsattlook.com.au. Be sure to join the Encounters Down Under Facebook page and YouTube channel where you can also get involved during the live stream interviews, sharing your thoughts and opinions during the live show. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to give us a rating and review on your favourite listening platform. But anyway, that's enough from me. Let's get into what you've been waiting for. Kick back and relax with your favourite beverage and enjoy the show. This episode is available to view on our YouTube channel, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, how you doing, man? So we're live. No one's here yet, but we're live. Oh, Kelly's here.
Yeah, we're live, mate.
Yeah,
Doing a bit of warm up, and you got someone.
Yeah.
We've got Kelly here. G'day, Kel, cousin. G'day, cuz.
Yeah, mate. It's been a little while. What's been going on?
Oh, mate, not much.
Yeah.
Bloody busy, I tell you what.
Yeah, flat out like a lizard.
G'day, Facebook user. Don't know who you are because you haven't accepted
yeah.
the little doohickey thingy there that StreamYard will prompt you to go and allow you to go on, see who you are, so give you a bit of a shout out.
It's a little ominous. I am here.
I'm here.
Mate. Yeah, well, what's been going on, man? I mean, look, the world of UFOs and UAPs is sort of, I don't know, stagnant's a word, but it's hard to sift through and figure out if there's anything. You know what I mean? Like I do listen to Jeremy Corbell and Nap's podcast on a semi-regular basis, and they are still trying to push forward at the Pentagon. But I think there's more distractions afoot, mate. So we don't really get much more. You know what I mean?
No. Look, you took the words out of my mouth. How I was going to pretty much start up and go, mate. Look, the whole UFO community or the world itself has just gone absolutely quiet. Like there's just nothing, zilch. Got little claims here and there on Facebook, whether it's true or not. Like there's some sort of U.S. Navy captain or something like coming out there saying there's crash retrievals and shit like that. And it's like, well, it's just one of those links that you don't really trust. It's too good to be true sort of thing.
No, look, it's
until they go and put themselves out in Congress, and you're like, yeah, that's true.
Look, I mean, there's more. There's more stories and stuff like that coming out about. Is it? Back engineering programs, people supposedly coming out and giving testimony and blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing really concrete. I mean, unfortunately, we live in a bit of a state of chaos, Anthony. So it's like, there's a few more distractions afoot at the moment, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So, Mel, you said in the comments here, if you're watching through the Australian UFO sightings page there, you'll see at the top of the link in the video there should be a little bit of a message code there and something there saying, hey, click me for, accept the agreement thing or whatever it is there, so they allow you to go and use it. It'll be there somewhere if you're on the UFO sightings page. Or just go to the YouTube channel or the Encounters Down Under page there and watch through there and you'll pop up, no worries. But yeah, guys, look, something different tonight. As you can see, I've got a different background because I'm at work at the moment and trying something different.
I've got a different
on the tablet,
well.
the computer.
Yeah, I'm in the house as well, so we're mixing it up tonight, mate. Mixing it up. But look, I didn't really have too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I know the last few times that we've done this, there's always been such awesome questions. Hello.
G'day. Also, guys, if you want to join in on the chat here, we do have the link in the description there. Go and join and chat in with us. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, whatever anyone wants to talk about. You know what I mean? I did put it in the I did put it in the Facebook today. Ask me anything, but I do think I am shadow banned, to be perfectly honest. So it didn't really go anywhere. But
basically, we're inviting everyone here that's listening to the podcast here. There is a link up there. It'll say StreamYard. Go and hit that link there. It will direct you straight to us. Make sure you do accept the camera and microphone. You don't have to have your camera on, but you just accept those, and you'll come in and join us and talk about whatever you want on the topic. Doesn't matter
Mm.
where it goes. We're just here to have a bit of a good old chin wag and a bit of fun.
Yeah, look, man. I thought, being unlocking the code and being the fact tomorrow is Good Friday, I thought we might have a chat about Easter, right? And
Why
what
not?
Easter actually is. So obviously there's 4 points, right, during the year. You got the winter and summer solstice, and you've got the spring and the autumn equinox. Okay, so we just went past the equinox. It was in March. It was actually about a week ago. It was the 20th or the 21st, right? And basically, like every other major holiday, they stole that. The church stole that one as well from our ancestors. So basically, during the autumn equinox, right, it's when the bounty's coming in, when the harvest is coming in, right, or it's on its way to be coming in. So we need to have a think about what is the symbology of Easter, right? So why does a rabbit deliver bunnies? You know what I mean? It's a little bit weird if you think about it. You know what I mean? But what there's no
Very
reason.
weird.
What is an egg, and what do rabbits do, mate? Rabbits, you know what I mean? You know what rabbits do? What do rabbits do? They make other rabbits.
Dig
You know what I
holes.
mean? Yeah. Well, no, they make what rabbits make other rabbits, mate. You know what I mean? And an egg is also a symbol of fertility, right? So, look, it's Facebook Live. I'm trying to be rabbits shag, mate. They reproduce, right? And the egg is also a sign of
That they
fertility.
do.
Okay. And so it's 2 signs of fertility. And again, we honor the symbolism, right, that has been going on for who knows how many thousands of years, Anthony. And except, in the times before, we'd eat the rabbit and we'd paint an egg. Okay. And you would have seen some of those Fabergé eggs and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? There's some interesting stuff there. So yeah, and what do we do Easter Sunday? We normally have lunch. We normally have a nice big feed as well. So we're honoring the harvest as well, right? So, we talk about these things that we still celebrate, and the symbology is actually echoes through time so far that we can't even we don't truly understand, right? If I was to say to you 20,000 years, depending. And the other thing about these festivals as well, Anthony, like the solstice festivals and the equinox festivals that happen on all over the world, it's something that echoes as well, man. You know what I mean? It's not like it just happened in the South. No, it happened everywhere. Everyone celebrated these cycles of time. And Easter is just another one of those cycles, right? And they were already having a celebration around this time of year. It's I don't like the term pagan. However, that's probably where we would land it. However, the pagans were celebrating during this time of year, but everybody around the world was also celebrating this time of year, and they just basically the church adopted it to what they needed to adopt it to, right? I mean, obviously the Bible story, and they fit the story in as well. But it's interesting, like even like the symbolism of Easter through the church is all about fertility and all that sort of stuff, and it's quite fascinating that, and you would have seen some of those Russian, like those Fabergé eggs, man. You know what I mean? Like there's in the Baltic states, there's a very big tradition of painting eggs in this beautiful way, like making them jeweled. Like it's a crazy thing, and this is the time of year that we would exchange those, right? Regardless of culture. So it's like, we could fast forward to Christmas as a bit of an echo as well. And it's like, well, the Christmas tree is, we used to bring the tree in to honor the tree spirits, and we decorate the tree to honor the tree spirits, and we put presents under the tree to honor the tree spirits, right? And it's the only time of year you can have a 5-pointed star and be okay with it, right? Which is the pentagram, which actually is a symbol of protection that represents the 5 elements. Okay, so you've obviously got your 4 elements, which is earth, air, fire, water. But there's actually another element that we've spoken about before, which is ether, Anthony, right? And if we bring it back to UAPs, UFOs, they have some sort of anti-gravity ether motor that they're using, however that works. It's
absolutely. So it makes me wonder. Like we're talking mostly regards to the pagans, and so everything's basically Europe northern hemisphere sort of thing. Like, how does that go about with the, like, being around the world, being celebrating these solstices and that? What about the southern hemisphere? Because also we're changing different seasons compared to the northern hemisphere. Do you know anything about like what they would refer to these sort of solstices in a difference?
Well, it's all what's fascinating, Anthony, is it's opposite, right? So our summer solstice, our winter solstice is their summer solstice. Our summer solstice is their winter solstice,
Yes.
right? Because it's flipped. So same with the equinoxes, they're flipped, right?
Yes.
However, that time of year, any culture that monitored the stars, which was pretty much all of them, celebrated at least the solstices, right? There's every single, there's a very, well, I don't want to say crude, but there's a standing stone circle just of small stones in country Victoria that they found that actually does point towards the winter solstice, right? So the indigenous down here were measuring that cycle, right? We were all measuring that cycle, man, right? We're measuring the cycles of the equinox. We're measuring the precession of the equinox, and that's the celebrations would be familiar because most of the celebrations, right? So we take Christmas, right? I was talking about the tree and the star, but also you would have a big feed, right? Because it's the shortest in the northern hemisphere. It's the shortest day of the year, so it's cold in December, right? And that was you putting everyone getting together because it's winter time and there's snow and they've got their stores for the winter, and that's a big feed before they bunker down for the winter, basically, right? And then it goes around to the spring equinox, which is coming out of that, and that's the first, the plantings and the harvests are beginning to come in, or they're beginning to mature, which is why we celebrate fertility. But it didn't matter, right? So all cultures, pretty much around the world, there's echoes of all cultures that celebrated the same way. Now, that lends to how, right? You know what I mean? So it's like how are they doing that? Did they know each other, or is that a genetic echo? What are we talking about here as far as how that is actually being done? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what made me curious. Like, are they celebrating at the same time, or is it just something that they know due to their season, depending on where they are in the world, that they
the
just
cycle is a
celebrate
cycle,
at a different
right?
time of year?
It's the same, it's the same celebration, but different time of year, right? You're honoring the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to say deities, but you're honoring the same things, right? But it's this same time of year, but opposite as far as northern and southern. And obviously, I think what we need to understand as well with these various types of celebrations through different cultures, what you find is there's a cultural adaptation, right? So it's like there's elements that are similar, but you take the local culture, whether that be the Middle East or Asia or India, you know what I mean, Southeast Asia, they have the key elements are a lot of the same. However, the cultural differences do also come into play.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Then.
Which I mean,
it
echoes. It echoes how, man? How did they know, right? How did they know? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like how did they know?
And that's the confusing part.
And why? Why were we measuring the equinox, right? I mean, and look, let's put it a little bit into perspective, right? I can bring something up here.
Yeah, go
on. See if I know what I'm doing. Share screen. Look at that. So, how's that? Is that working? Let's have a look. No mistakes here, mate. It's been a while. I was saying to Anthony, he's always dragged me back on the mic. Can we see that? Can you see that? There you go.
Yep. So no megalithic
sites.
There
you go. That's the known megalithic. Yeah. So, but there's more than that now as well, right? You can add, Italy's not on that list. You can add a couple of the other South American countries. You can add, is Russia on? No, Russia's there. But I mean, if you split up the different states, you need to add China in there as well. You know what I mean? So there's a few countries missing from that list. But if we take that as a snapshot of how many countries had, megalithic sites, and most, if not all of those megalithic sites, following the equinox, right? Following the cycle, which is the summer, winter, spring, and autumn equinoxes, which is what we're doing right now. That's where we are, you know. It lends to a common understanding, Anthony, right? So there's an echo, right? So there's an echo, okay? At unlocking the code, right? So as I said, Anthony, I haven't released anything in 2 months, or sort of poked my head up for about 2 months, mate. So you drag me back on the mic. You always do that to me, you know that, don't you?
I'm good.
Anyway, so I have been thinking, right? Yeah, look, you're right, Mel. It is a pattern of repeating, right? But what I'm talking about is the key elements of the celebration, right? And there does seem to be an echo. And why does every megalithic site point to the summer or winter solstice across the entire globe, basically? You know, there's an echo. I think when we look, just because I haven't said anything or released anything doesn't mean I stop reading or listening. You know what I mean? And I am sort of putting together a proper presentation, man. Like I'm going to do like hire a hall or something like that, right? So just waiting for a few dots to line up, and I might do that. And I'm going to try and figure out how to do it live, whether we can do it through StreamYard, which we probably can. We'll talk about. I'll talk about that off mic with you.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so I'm sort of putting together a bit of a plan and an idea. And I think what we see here, and because it's like with the megalithic stuff and with this honoring of the cycles, it's like you take a step back, because it's like once you get, I've got my 10,000 hours, man. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't need to, the stones are cool, the symbols are cool, you know, these symbols echo, there's all that sort of stuff too. But then it's like, okay, you got to zoom out a little bit. How and why, right? Why is everybody measuring the same thing, right? Why are we measuring the same thing? Why are we measuring that precession? You know what I mean? And like, there's all these, it's weird sacred geometry that goes with it as well. It's like 72 years is 1 degree of the precession, and 72 years just happens to be the average lifespan of a human, right? So we will only observe on average 1 degree, okay? And there seems to be, right, my belief through the research and looking at it objectively and through understanding and through the evidence and the mounting evidence that continues to come in, is there was obviously an advanced society prior to the cataclysm. So we're talking prior to 12,800, 900 years ago. Okay. However, I think they may have been a culture where science and spirituality were one. Okay. Which is why these standing stone circles could be both, right? It could be a university of such, right? But also a place of worship. Okay. Because, you know, as we don't know, and sort of we're not harnessing the ether. Okay. We go back to these weird things that turn up in the sky and have done since time immemorial. They harness the ether, right? That's the fifth element. But in order for you to believe in the ether and to know that it exists, there has to be a certain level of faith, right? I mean, it is the thing that joins everything else together, right? The ether, okay? It's the space between spaces. However, I reckon that this society that existed prior to that may be an echo, right? So if we are to believe the stories, right? Remember, we work on if the 1% is true rule, okay? And nothing's a UFO. It encounters down under, so we got to be discerning, right? But one of the stories that echoes, okay, is some of these retrieved ships, or whatever you want to call them, right? Craft, okay. The echo has always been that a couple of them are from the past, man. Right? They found them in ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were found in tombs and stuff like that. Like there's 2 or 3 that they have found, you know. And I think I've showed some of those pictures before, man, of all the pictures of what looks like a UFO in the sky in cave art and you know, going back 40,000 years, right? So, you know, I think this society had a deeper understanding of the unknown, right? Whereas, this version of the human society got stuck in, if you can't sort of, drink it, eat it, measure it, shag it, you can't, you know what I mean? Like that we don't care about it. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a whole raft of things that exist outside of that. I mean, look, you've had some awesome interviews with people with those sorts of experiences, yeah. I actually thought of an experience I haven't shared with you. If you want to do that later, we're sort of on a bit of a tangent now, but
sure.
yeah, I had a bit of it. I thought about an experience that I hadn't shared with you, a little bit paranormal actually.
Ooh,
That I thought could be
interesting.
fun.
I like it.
But I mean, I think,
Yeah, why not?
yeah, that's cool, man. Look, it comes down to why, right? Why are they measuring the stars? I mean, obviously they're very pretty, right? Gives you your cycles, gives you your food, all those sorts of things, right? But they're measuring a larger cycle. You know what I mean? Like they're measuring that precession of the equinox, and they're measuring our journey through the stars, right? Because we are in a galactic neighborhood as well, Anthony. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, we so, in June and November, I think I've spoken about this as well. We passed through the Taurid meteor stream, right? Which is 30,000 kilometers wide or whatever it is, and like 15 days, you know what I mean? Each time. They're measuring that as well, right? And I think one of the messages that echoes through the research as well, man, like through Göbekli Tepe and all that sort of stuff, right? Is look to the sky in your times, right? So if they're measuring a cycle, and let's say that every so we're at the end of the cycle, right? So we're at the beginning, the age of Aquarius, right? We're coming from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which is, that's all the hippy dippy songs, age of Aquarius, but what if there's something that happens? What if there's something that happens in that cycle of time? You know what I mean? It's what if there's I'm not trying to be doomsday, but what if there's a warning there? You know what I mean? It's like look to the sky in your times. The sun disk.
Yes.
So the Aztec sun disk is the one I think we've spoken about before, but basically we didn't die in 2012. I'm pretty sure we didn't anyway. However, it's basically the time frame was like a cycle. It was 1960 to 2040, and again it was look to the sky in your times, right? So I mean, it's encounters down under. Does that? I sort of thought about that the other day. Does that herald the unknown? You know what I mean? Is that the UAP? Yeah. Oh, you're definitely right, Mel. We do. Some of us are curious about the unknown, right? However, I mean, what I find interesting about modern science, as we call it, is that they're basically proving that magic is real through quantum entanglement and the stuff they're doing at the Hadron Collider, which is a little disturbing, really, if you just stand back and think about some of that stuff. I agree with you, Mish. I agree. Yeah, there's a ramping up. Well, I mean, astrologically, obviously, I mean, there's a whole. Actually, you want to talk about weirdness in the sky? What have you seen? Some of the stuff they're saying about the eclipse coming up in the next week or so, right?
What's
so
the deal with that?
Total eclipse
they're
in
saying that
America.
everyone's going to look doomsday prep for it.
Yeah, it's suspicious, man. Yeah, look, it's suspicious, man. I'm not sure, right? I think it's suspicious. I think we're talking astrological here, okay? What we need to understand is like during the COVID times, right? We can say that on YouTube without being kicked off now. But during the COVID times, the stars were in the same place that was during the fall of the Roman Empire. Well, we'll see. Depends how hard we go in the paint. But no, the stars where they are now, the last time the stars were in this alignment is when the Roman Empire fell, right? And what if there's something more, Anthony? You know what I mean? Like why did they measure these cycles for so long? They're measuring things that happen. You know what I mean? Cycles of time. I mean, if you talk about the yugas, we are in what's called the Kali Yuga, which is the time of chaos, man. That's what it is, right? And, you know, sort of vaguely gesture around, you know. And, you know, I'm a proponent of Pluto. You think Pluto's a planet, don't we? We think Pluto's definitely a planet, man. Pluto's
Absolutely,
always been a
bloody
planet.
oath.
Right, but you know, there's one of I've got a meme problem, Anthony. We've had meme wars in the past, and one of my favorite memes is like, I'm not saying demoting Pluto, which was like the god of war in the Roman times. Don't quote me on that, but you know what I mean. Like, it was like the god of chaos and war is Pluto. I'm not saying demoting Pluto and calling it not a planet was a good idea, but you know what I mean. Just sort of gesturing around, like.
Yeah.
Maybe we brought it upon ourselves by
shit. Why do
not
that?
honoring Pluto.
Yeah. Well, Pluto was a Greek god, wasn't
That's
it?
all to do with style.
Was a Greek god and a Roman god or something?
Yeah. Hang on. We need to find out. Talk to the people for a second.
Right. Yeah, guys, look, don't forget we do have the lines open. Hit the link in that description there. You can come and join us directly in the chat here. Come and have a bit of a chin wag with us directly instead of through the comments here. Love to have you on the chat here and talking whatever, UFOs, even Pluto. Talk about Pluto. If you believe Pluto is real or not, or should be recognized as a planet. I mean,
Pluto, yeah. Well, Pluto's definitely a planet. No, Pluto was the ancient Roman god of the dead, wealth, and agriculture. So, you know, yeah, I'm not entirely sure that we're going to stir this one up, right?
Yeah.
But no, the eclipse is weird, man.
So
like,
just on that, though.
The problem is these days, Anthony. Yeah.
Sorry, mate, there must be a bit of a delay between us when we're chatting here. So I was going to say, like, you know, Pluto and, like, you know, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto weren't really discovered, like, till 1800s. Am I right on that one?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the Greek gods,
between the 15 and the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you forget.
When it comes to the Greek gods and that, what's the deal with that?
What's the deal with that? I haven't been down the Greek and Roman gods for a while. Long story short, they're all the same, right? So if you were to say Zeus is God or Allah, it's the same, right? So Zeus's son Hercules went missing for a few days, and it's this, you know, same story. But as far as the planets are concerned, man, it's a planet, no backsies. I like that. That's good. As far as the planets are concerned, there's accurate star maps like found in Sumeria, found in the Middle East, found in Asia. In some hieroglyphs in Egypt, Earth is described as the seventh planet. Now, how do you get the seventh planet, Anthony?
Yeah.
You're coming from the outside in. Yeah. You're coming from the outside in is how you understand Earth to be the seventh planet, which is an interesting little tidbit. But yeah, there's representations of the solar system in all of those cultures, man, long before, right? And look, you know, I have some Greek heritage. However, it's unfortunate for me to say that I think the Greeks stole a lot of that stuff, man. I think whilst, yes, they may have like math and all that sort of stuff, right? If you go, you got to remember the Greek Empire prior to the Roman Empire, they sort of owned all that fertile valley through to Egypt and everything as well. You know what I mean? That's where Plato's story of Atlantis comes from and blah, 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 right? So, you know, when you look at all that stuff, it's like the Greeks say they invented it. I wonder whether or not they found it or they stole it, right? Which is, you know, it's generally what happens, you know? So, because that knowledge has been knowledge for as long as knowledge has been knowledge, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you start digging into it, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And that's sort of like you know, going back to the whole Easter, you know, the whole solstice thing and celebrating Easters and all these traditions and stuff like could it be a thing that's stolen from different civilizations or from their traditions, you know, like as we sort of do?
Yeah, it could be adapting traditions, you know, but I think there's an echo of a global culture, mate. I think that's what it is. I think there's an echo of a global culture that once existed, and I think that's what we're dealing with in a lot of these things. I think there was a common understanding all over the planet at one point or time. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. So anyway, let's get back to this bloody eclipse that's happening. So, people are starting to get crazy, or people are being warned there's some sort of cataclysm coming. So people are getting all the bloody toilet paper, milk, and bread from the shopping centres and going crazy like COVID days, as we were saying. And so, like, where do you think this is actually going with this whole cataclysm bullshit?
It's a hard one because astrologically we're at interesting times, right? And we have been. That's sort of what I was saying before. It's like if the stars on Pillar 43 are the same in the sky as they were when the cataclysm happened. You know what I mean? Like we're in an interesting galactical standpoint. So these eclipses and the frequency of the eclipses, and we underestimate the power of the moon and the power of the things that are around us, right? And look, it's hard to say that whether the fear porn machine is on its roll again. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to whether they're just trying to drum up a bit of bullshit. You know what I mean? However, look, I've seen some reels, so it's proper research. Take it to the bank, right? On some of this stuff, because look, I sort of looked at it and it's like it's suspicious. Probably the most suspicious thing about it, Anthony, is that if you look at the stars, the sun and the moon aren't in line, right? The sun and the moon aren't in line. So how are they eclipsing? It's a bit of a weird one, that. And apparently there was a thing that in 1811, right? So there's also the Skullhead comet in the sky, man, which is probably a good omen. You know what I mean? Have you seen that? The comet that looks like a skull?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't.
That's coming through right now, man. That's good. Yeah, there's always been lots of good things have always happened when there's been a comet in the sky. It's always been a positive experience for everybody. And basically, when apparently during the eclipse, right, is April 8th. Yeah, the eclipse. Apparently, the comet will be visible during the eclipse. But in America, they're saying like, get water and don't go outside and don't look at the thing and don't do this and don't do that. And it's like this thing that I saw is apparently in 1811 there was a whole bunch of earthquakes and bits and pieces, and at that time along that fault line there, which is through the Midwest United States, and we should say that it's not happening down here; it's happening over in America. But it is a weird one. It's a little suspicious. There's so much, as I say, like fear porn being thrown at us that I think it could be, you know what I mean? Yeah, right. Someone's going to have a look. Wow. That's a good idea.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Put some stuff up on the page. Put some stuff up on the page, Mel. That's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Because how
some people, they don't believe the moon is a giant rock in the sky. It's a giant spaceship, right? So that's probably how it's aligning with the sun, because it can move however it wants, being a giant spaceship, Death Star.
I'm not saying the moon's a giant spaceship. Am I saying it was parked there? Yeah, I think it was parked there. Because how, Anthony? Right? if it's 1 degree either way, right? And the size of the moon versus the size of the Earth, and you look at the size of the other planets versus the size of their moons, right? It's weird, man. The moon is weird. Okay, I actually did a good episode on the moon with Loomis out of Hawaii. What was that? Who knows, man? It was last year, maybe. But yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's over 200 and something episodes, man. I'm not sure. But yeah, we did a good unpacking on the moon. And look, I do think the moon's parked there, right? The moon's weird, man. It rang like a bell when they bombed it. You know what I mean? Like, and why did we bomb the moon? I suppose is another good question. What if 1% of that? Yeah, well, because it's the Americans. They just like throwing bombs at things. There is that. However, you know what I mean? I'll just throw a bomb at it. Don't worry about it. But I mean, what if 1%, man? Like, so we've all seen the ships coming out of the moon and the moon, cities on the moon in the craters and bits and pieces, right? What if 1% is that is true, Anthony? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the only other thing about the moon, dude, is
Yeah.
why haven't we been back? Explain that to me. Apparently,
Well,
there's
supposedly
minerals
we're
on the
going back,
moon.
what, next year or 25?
Yeah, the Chinese have been back. The Chinese have sent
Hopefully.
lunar landers and stuff over there. Yeah.
Yeah, but in person, I think we're supposed to be going next year or it might be 2025.
Yeah, it could be. I know Elon's trying to get there, isn't he? And he's.
Hmm.
But I mean, you know, let's bring it back to UFOs, UAPs. Like, what are we still
Yep.
messing around with rockets for? You know what I mean? Like, if these craft do exist and we have reverse engineered them or whatever it is, blah blah blah. Why are we allowing Elon to mess around with rockets? Don't get me wrong. The fact that he can land his rocket is so cool, right? You know what I mean? From a rocket technology and thrust vectoring and all that sort of stuff, the technological achievement of him doing that is very cool, right? I mean,
that's a big
I've been
feat.
blowing stuff up since I could. Yeah, man. I've been trying to launch stuff in the air and blow stuff up, you know, since I could light a match. You know what I mean? So I understand I don't trust anyone that didn't blow anything up when they were a kid, man. Like, what were you doing? If you didn't set fire to things, what, you know?
That's right.
And I know you did.
Absolutely.
Anthony looks down having flashbacks of things blowing up in the backyard. But why are we messing around with that technology?
Just sparklers. That was the best thing.
Yeah, sparklers are awesome. Right? When did you figure
out
that you can't throw water? Yeah, they do. And when did you figure out you can't throw water on a fuel fire? That's an interesting one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. It's a good old kitchen hack, that one. Go for it, guys.
Yeah. Figured that. I figured that one out when I was a young fella. That's not a good idea.
But yeah, like going back to like, you know, rockets and that, you know, being able to flip it and stuff like that. Like, I'm lucky enough to go and flip a bloody water bottle and land it back on its bloody bottom, you know, and do that little, you know, little flippy thing that kids do these days. Whatever, you know, I'm lucky to even get that upright. And Elon Musk can do that. And like you said, like, you know, the technology's there somewhere, but yeah, we seem to be so stuck and relying on these fossil engines, basically. Not fossil engines, but, you know, fossil fueled engines, fossil fueled engines.
Yeah, look, I mean,
whereas,
Paul
like
is
right. Like, where's the technology? Why are we still stuck?
Look, I think you know, one of the hard things that we're all trying to deal with, Anthony, that we're not talking about, right? Because the first rule of Fight Clubs, we can't talk about Fight Club, right? And not allowed to talk about it, right? However, one of the things that we're all dealing with is that everything's bullshit, man. You know, and Paul's right. It runs on money and power and greed, right? There is no reason, logically, for anybody to want for anything, right? Apart from, you know, there does seem to be a narcissistic, psychopathic oligarchs that run the world. You know what I mean? And you know, that seems to be what it is. Like there's like these super mega corporations. You know what I mean? And like if they have control of this tech, I mean, you just run through the list of stories. You know, Stanley Meyer invented the water-driven car, and they poisoned him. Right? Oh no, sorry, he died accidentally. You know what I mean? Like there's, you know, there's the guy, the American, the Australian guy that invented the ceramic motor that basically was wear-proof. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? And yeah, he got paid out by like all three, and then he accidentally crashed into a tree, man. The only tree in like a 10K radius, but you know, it is what it is, you know. You could go through the list of just basic technologies that have been hidden from us due to greed, basically, is the only reason. So
yeah. So, but on that then too, though, like, okay, so it runs off the economy of, like, you know, writing off fossil fuels and whatnot. But say we had this technology at our disposal to go and, you know, travel the stars, basically. So we could be traveling to all these different planets, to the moon, wherever, get harvesting there, like, you know, as we do. We always love to go and destroy economies and, you know, planets and stuff, whatnot, because that's what we do. That there is a money maker in itself. Like, you know, I'm sure we'll watch the movie The Avatar. Oh, not the Avatar, the Avatar, whatever it is. You know, we were raiding that planet, they're destroying that one, they're taking that resource because worth freaking billions there per bloody little nugget. We could be doing the same thing if we had that technology to availability.
Well, this is the whole thing.
Or
like,
are they doing it because they're protecting us from it?
Yeah. It's a hard one, because it's like, there is obviously a fair amount of faith in the monotheistic religions in the world at the moment. And do they, would a certain population percentage of the people freak right out if they knew that we truly weren't alone? Well, maybe not. They already said that, and no one cares, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's a discussion we've had a fair few times. It's like, the legitimate stuff that's been released, no one gives a shit. No, it's like, oh yeah. It's
a sad world.
Strange, right? And just the endless distraction. It's I mean, if we're throwing hypotheticals out there, what if the Space Force is real? Like, I've often wondered whether or not one day they're going to be like, oh, look, all fairness, guys, we did have the tech, and we've sort of developed a mega supercarrier spaceship that we didn't tell you about, and everything's all good. You know what I mean? Or is that blue beam, mate? You know what I mean? Is that blue beam? They're gonna use their own tech to do the alien invasion.
So they reckon.
So what do you reckon about my
really cut on that. Sorry, mate, go.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, look, it's hard, man. I don't know, because the thing is, I agree. Part of, as I've been a little bit introspective and working on a few things in the background, sort of why I haven't been engaging with the show. However, I do think something big is coming. Energetically, I think, as I say, we can't talk about Fight Club, but everybody feels it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a feeling that it's like, well, we just got to keep going. We just got to keep going. But is there something large on the horizon? And what if there's mega earthquakes and everything else like that next week, the week after in America? We'll see, I suppose.
I hope so.
Oh, Paul's
honestly, I hope there is. I honestly hope there is going to be some big cataclysm there and what destroys half the world there, because I'm sick of paying for bloody debts and shit and taxes and whatnot. I'm just over it. Wipe out all the governments altogether. I'm fucking over it.
Yeah, everybody for themselves. Yeah. Look, hey mate, I really just need. I left my drink over on the bench there, and I'm parched. I'm just going to mute and just entertain the people for 30 seconds, but.
All right. But you're trying to entertain the missus for about 30 seconds, and I can't even do that. Anyway, guys, don't forget there is a link there in the description there to go and hit that StreamYard link. You can join us directly. Have a bit of a chin wag with us. Join us. Put your opinions out there to everyone else instead of joining the comments there. Like, don't get me wrong, I love your comments there. But by all means, guys, if you want to talk to us directly through here on this chat right here, you can come in and throw your own opinions. So yeah, hit that link there somewhere, wherever you're listening from. I hope it is there. I hope the link does work. So anyway, let's get through quickly. Distractions, cost of living. With Mish, they're absolutely keeping us busy. I hate it. It's doing my head in. Just seems to keep going up and up with no matter how many times we sort of try and almost get ahead in this sort of crap with the governments and stuff like this. Yeah, it's squeezing every little bit out of us. I thought I had it's not working. So Mel, you trying to get onto the link there, are you? If not, I might try and send you a direct link if that's of interest to you. Because it'd be good to see if that link actually does work. Sorry, guys, I kind of hoping it did work.
Oh yeah, we're trying to
have a look. See what
I'm just a guinea pig, really. That's all I am. I'm just a guinea pig.
Yeah. No, we know that.
It's all good, mate. No mistakes. I don't want to leave Paul behind.
At least you're a smart guinea pig.
I can find my way out of the maze most of the time.
That's right.
I don't want to leave this. So I'm going to chuck this up. Oh, look at that. I can do that as well. Oh, la-di-da.
Oh, look at that. You got buttons.
I can. I've got buttons. Look at that. Do you think we are all slaves to aliens that literally want our gold? It's weird that gold seems to be stored in banks and the gold is never really touched and just traded digitally. we're deep diving. Are we? Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Look, I was talking about what were we measuring, right? What were we measuring?
Yeah.
What if it is what if we're measuring the cycles of Nibiru and how many times it circles until it comes back? What if that's what we're measuring? Because honestly, dude, like, if hang on, I'll see if I can bring that up. So, look, again, too many rabbit holes. However, the one thing that I had an epiphany about a little while ago is that, and it's hard for me to do it. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, it says Planet X is not Nibiru. Look, I'm neither here nor there on that. It's more about the cycle. So if I
You take it, mate, because I'm just trying to go and sort of Mel at the moment because she wants to come and join in with us, which would be great.
It's okay. I'm going to check that over there.
Yeah.
So what I realised, I was sitting in the studio. I was sitting in the studio one night, right, and thinking about Nibiru, and it's hard for me to draw it, right, but I'm just going to show you this, okay? So can we try and... Oh, I can't. Is that sharing? I don't know whether we can't. It's not really big enough, is it? Copy that. I'm going to stop sharing. Actually, see,
guys, click that link there. I don't think the link actually works directly through the chat there. If you can try and copy that. Oh, no, it doesn't work either, I don't think. Yeah. Jesus, horrible. I don't know how. All right, you know what? I was going to do. Yeah, it doesn't work either. Horrible.
Not working, mate. Not working. Look, we're trying new things. We're doing different stuff.
We are.
We're trying to push the boundary.
We've had it working last time. I did it before. I don't know why.
So,
tell you what, message me directly through go straight through the Facebook message there on the Kansas and Under page. Message me there, and I'll send you a link that way. That should work.
So we see here, right? So this
I had to get around last time.
Okay. So we're talking about the orbit of Nibiru here. Okay. So we can see it's an elongated orbit, right? So if you take the solar system, okay, now everyone's good. Let's play a visual game, people.
Yep.
If we take the solar system as we see it in that picture that I've shared there, right? Then you do the
cycles. Hang on.
Hey?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Do like this, cool. We'll do here.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And you want to do hand figures too, don't you? Hang on, sorry. And hand figures?
Okay. That's all right. That's cool. So if we take the cycle there, right? There you go. Look at that. So if we take the cycle, right, and we...
Hang
on. No, we don't. No one needs that.
We'll go that.
So see how it's going around like that, right? Imagine if you did that over and over and over and over and over again. And actually, I'm not in the studio. I've got a book there that I've actually drawn a picture. It ends up being the flower of life, dude. Long story short, if you do cycles in Nibiru over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, okay, it ends up being the flower of life, man, which is the symbol that echoes through every single culture and every single everything. Right, and it's like, So have a look at the orbit of Nibiru, right? Here's Pisces, here's Aquarius, man. That's where we are. Okay, we're coming into the age of Aquarius. No, I didn't pull that up on purpose. However, I mean, you want to talk about star signs, right? Here's just a little tidbit. G'day, Ben. Nice to see you, mate. Anthony dragged me back on the mic as he does, Ben. You know what he's like. Just badgers me until I say yes. The cycles, what if that's
You're
what
quick to say yes, by the
way. Okay.
Hey? You're quick to say yes.
Oh, look, man. Look, I like talking to you. I like doing these things, man. They're cool.
Oh shit!
Um,
Watch myself here.
and I needed
Yeah,
to.
bloody, it's bloody good. Like, I love it.
There's no need for that, Ben. There's just he's been a bit cheeky there. No, Ben is like the
Yes,
high.
it is.
No, in all seriousness, Mr. Hall is the highest echelon of UTC supporter. He's been there from the start. He's a loyal supporter and a good friend. So I do appreciate him coming on and checking it out.
What a guy!
I mean, well, when am I going to share my story? Well, no. Well, Paul was talking about gold. Let
Oh
me finish on
yeah,
gold.
we'll get there.
Let me finish on gold first, okay? Because Paul is right. Okay, gold is interesting. I don't know if anyone has seen gold poured before. I have, right? So I worked in gold for a little while. I was lucky enough to see a few gold bars poured. I also grew up in Ballarat, with the gold fields there as well. And there's something like I'm not a gold. If I had to pick a metal, I'm more of a silver, tungsten. Like I don't really like gold. I'm not a gold guy. But we all know people that are, though, Anthony. The boys that are here, we know boys that love their gold. They got the big gold chain and the gold earring. They love it, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
they're dragons with it.
they drop
Especially
over.
FIFO boys. You know what I mean? Yeah, especially FIFO boys. They got
Oh shit.
the chains, mate. The gold chains. I'm
Mm.
not really into that, but there is something visceral about it, man. When I saw the gold bars poured, it's like, oh, precious. You know what I mean? Like there was something like. Yeah, gold fevers. Mish is exactly right. You know what I mean? Gold fever. So there's definitely something between humans, our genetic disposition, and our ability to find gold as well. It's like we just find it, right? It's like there's an inbuilt thing for us to go and find gold. It's like, my daughter's, it's basically asked me about, how do you mine gold? And I can tell them exactly how to mine gold. And I've known that since I was a child, right? Follow the court seam to the, and just keep going and you'll find something or you won't, basically. And going back to what Paul says, where is the gold? Just out of curiosity. So, during the thing is, there's so much, right? So Gerard Rennick, not to do politics for a second, but Gerard Rennick basically asked this question, Paul, as to where is Australia's gold? Because apparently we've got like 50 pallets of gold and we sent it to the UK. Like, why would we do that? You know what I mean? That's a good question. Like, if it's our gold, surely our country's big enough to have a storage zone somewhere, right? However, it's not. It's in the UK somewhere, apparently. And Gerard Rennick basically asked, has anybody seen the gold? When was the last time someone, like, do a stock take? You know what I mean? Like when someone, like you just got to see what's there. Like when was the last time someone laid eyes on our 50 pallets of gold? And the question came back, basically, we don't know. So no one even knows where the gold is, man, when you dig into it, right? And apparently Fort Knox in America hasn't had gold in it for years. So are we sending it to the Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know, man. Like the thing is, it's like at this stage, all things are possible, right? Yeah. Like, oh, look, you want to talk about secrets? Let's get into the Vatican. You know what I mean? Let's find our way in there.
Let's raid the Vatican. They can't stop us all.
That's right. Yeah. Who is the 99%? Right? Who is the 99%? Yeah, there was some barcode. Yeah, Mish is right. There was some barcode stuff about that as well. It's like I remember now. Yeah, it's like it was something along the lines of the barcodes or the list of barcodes that we had that apparently our gold didn't match the list that was there. It's a basic stock take. I was a logistics specialist for a long time, and part of that was warehousing. And I know what I'm. You know what I mean? There's the part numbers. There's the quantity. Here's the list, and these two need to match, and they didn't. So where's the gold? Right, is a good question. And what is our obsession with gold as well? It's interesting. Because there is an obsession with gold. I mean, it is malleable. It never tarnishes, never rusts, all that sort of stuff. However, is it very useful? Depends, right? It's not like it's not like the old doom scroller. I mean, there is some gold in here, but not a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's a major thing. It's interesting. I don't know. Look, my conclusion was, after looking at the Nibiru stuff and the Sumerian stuff and the Egyptian stuff, and basically looking at the other side of the story. So the archaeologists, the modern archaeologists say up until a certain point, they honor the pharaohs and the dynasties, right? Before that, when the Egyptian pharaohs and the Sumerian kings lived for like 800, 1,000 years, blah, 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 they say, oh, no, they're just making that up, right? Which, of course, you would, of course you would. Just make up a story like that just for shits and giggles, What if it's true, man? Right? What if there was people that live for thousands of years? Right? That the asteroid belt that's in between us and Mars, right? Technically, that's another planet if you believe the indigenous culture stories, right? That's Tiamat, right? The leftovers of Tiamat. And the more and more they look into Mars, something happened to Mars. Mars is like a half-peeled orange, dude. You know what I mean? Like something, that big scar.
Yeah.
Over Mars, right? And there is definitely, I know one of the guys was saying the inches to the moon, but there's also, I think it's inches to Mars. I think it's the foot. Actually makes sense on Mars, but it doesn't make sense on Earth. Don't quote me. There's the foot or the yard or one of the key measurements makes sense on Mars.
Oh,
that doesn't make sense on Earth. Yeah. I can't remember. We're pulling stuff out of the ether at the moment.
Yeah, we discussed that probably a few episodes ago now, where like the theory was that we were actually originally from Mars because our temperament's a lot more, our bodies are a lot more adapted to Mars's surface temperatures and stuff like that.
If Mars was like had a atmosphere and all that sort of stuff, then some of us would be better from Mars than we would be than we are on Earth. You know what I mean? I mean, look, we're spinning in all sorts of directions. I mean, it's evolution or intervention, right? I think intervention. Okay, I think we were genetically modified at some point because we're not really suited to this planet, Anthony. You know what I mean? If we're on a planet with 3/4 water, we probably should be able to swim a little bit better than we can. We should be able to deal with the sun a bit better than we can. Like there's a few things that if we're from this planet and exist on this planet, that we should be a little bit more adaptable to, which is just, it's interesting,
It is, yeah. There's, I suppose, where they come from, what they're finding. Well, I don't know if you want to put it as finding or if it might be just digital glitches or something like, all these doorways or, weird shapes that they're finding in the rubble there from the rovers on Mars.
I follow a few.
The doorway one that got really curious, really odd.
That was real. The doorway one was real, because I remember that came across the pages. See, this is what I love about these.
What are you starting, Mitch? What are you starting?
They just like to stir me up. I'm sure they're here to stir me up. However, it's interesting. I lost my train of thought then. What was I talking about? I went to Are We a Simulation? We were talking about. What were we talking about? Mars. Were we talking about Mars? I've totally lost my train of thought.
You're talking about Mars and the doorway that they found.
Oh, doorway. Bing. All right, cool. Thank you. The doorway picture that came out of Mars was very, very interesting. And I remember that bounced around the groups.
Yeah.
And the very first thing, I sent it to a couple of people that I trust their opinion and said, is this one real? And it was, right? So there is, and I'm very, very critical of those photos because it's like, maybe like you see every 50 photos, you see like, oh, this is a hinge or something like that, right? The probably 1 out of 50, maybe I sort of go, oh yeah, maybe, you know what I mean? Like there is something to that. There's definitely ruins on Mars.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's ruins on the moon. Like if even 1% of the deleted tapes and all the things that come out of the Apollo missions, if even 1% of those stories is true, then there's all sorts of stuff on the moon that no one's ever looked at or seen. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of stuff, right? it's the story is. I think the problem is, Anthony, is the story is that much weirder. It's probably even weirder than we can even go. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Destroyed by foids. What's a foid? I'm curious about that. The one thing that I'm aware of, and the only thing that I am sure of, just for everybody, is that I know nothing. Right? I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. Okay. We had an analogy, and it's it's good on the devices here, right? So I've got two screens here in front of me. What I think I know, which is completely different to what I know. What I think I know is one pixel in one of these screens. The rest of the pixels is what could be known. You know what I mean? Like that's how vast it is. And I think at the end of the day, we don't have any idea. That's that's I've said that 1,000 times. Like this is just a perception. It's just a perspective. It's not. And I think the key with that as well, if we talk about speculators for a second, is that you must be able to be open to change your perspective given certain information, right? Don't be tied to ideas. Like when I think that there is something to the Sumerians and the Anunnaki and all that sort of stuff, right? Oh yeah, why wouldn't you? Oh, do we? Why wouldn't you let your imagination get carried away? I mean, that's the fun, isn't it? Well, isn't that what's what being human's all about? I think it's about. I think though, when we come to these speculations, right, we get to how I look at it is that lies smell and the truth resonates. Yeah. Lies smell and the truth resonates. Okay. So that's the two things.
A lot of shit lately.
Oh yeah, a lot, right? And and look, I totally agree. We try and be as factual as we can. Like that megalithic, I've got half a dozen slideshows here that I've gathered the facts that I've found, and then it's my interpretation of those facts. I think the thing is that we're all dealing with the same information set. It's just about perspective and interpretation. And I think that the more important thing is being open to sharing perspective and interpretation. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know. Do you know? Well, let's explore it. What if it's not the Anunnaki? What if it's the spaghetti monster in the sky? You know what I mean? Like, what if it's the, what if the octopus under the sea? Exactly. You know what I mean? Could be that as well, right? What if it's nothing? What if it is a simulation and we're all just in a VR headset in a chair, right? It's like, what are we going to do? It's as long as we don't attach ourselves and become tribal, I suppose, to ideals, then we're going to find our way forward, right? And I think if it's got to pass the smell test, because the thing is, the truth has a ring to it. Okay. The truth has a ring to it. Now that was said in the studio many years ago, and it's like, and it's true, right? When you hear something that is true, and I think the question is as well, is there a general, there could be a purple peeper eater. I'm open to that as well. Right? Could be leprechauns and elves and dwarves. You know what I mean? Like, draw me a dragon if you haven't seen a new dragon, right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. With the ufology stuff. Look, there's two sides to that though, Mr. Foyds. Can you tell me what a Foyd is? I'm very curious. I don't know what a Foyd is. However, the occult and the paranormal link up with the UAP UFO stuff, right? And when you go back in history, we start talking about what is an angel, what is a demon, what's the difference between that and what is a possession. What's the difference between those experiences that are recorded and a UFO experience, right? Fair enough. And look, extra dimensional.
Mel, come back.
I think. Come back to us. I think interdimensional. She'll be back. I think interdimensional stuff is definitely on the table, right? I think if you can harness the ether and you can punch your way through dimensional stuff, I think that's totally on the table. right? I mean, there's portals on this planet. You know, there's that discussion we've had. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll tell the portal. I'll retell the portal story, and then I'll tell because that we go back to the NT for that, and then I'll give Mish her paranormal story, and then we'll come back on track. Okay.
Yeah.
So the basic portal stuff, and I've told this story a few times. Sorry to those who've heard it before. Long story short, I spent a bit of time in Arnhem as a teenager, and I got the privilege to spend some time out there with some of our brothers up there, and it's it's a bit of a paranormal story in its own if I think back on it now. And it was only just I think it was when we did our show on that I thought about this, because we were sitting there around the fire in the middle of nowhere, like literally middle of nowhere, Arnhem Land, right? And this old fella, and it's the classic Indigenous elder, right? The big beard and he had footy shorts on. He had a red bandana around his head, and that was it. And he sort of wandered in to share the fire, and he started sharing stories. And like, remember, guys, that I was only 16, I think, 16, 17 maybe. And I asked him two questions that seemed very profound to me at the time. And one of them was, there's no need for that. Isn't that why you get me on, is for my spiels? No?
Yep.
It's all good, man. No, it's good fun. I do enjoy doing this. Where was I? Yeah, so I basically asked this guy, why didn't they invent the wheel, right? So why if they were here for so long, how come they didn't invent means of travel, right? And he sort of looked at me and he's like, very Yoda-ish, sort of said, it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. Sorry, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? And if you're going to go somewhere, walk, right? Be connected to the land, and you take your time to get there, and you'll get there when you get there, basically. And then he says to me, and then if we need to go to a special meeting place, we just go through the caves. Like, what do you mean you go through the caves? He goes, oh, well, there's the one up in Kakadu, and there's one in the Kimberleys, right? And basically you go, wherever this cave is, you go through that cave and you pop out in the Grampians, right? And the cave is like between here and the end of the house, you know what I mean? And bang, you're transported, right? And there's actually stories to the modern day. There's a national park in South Australia that basically you walk down this one track, and if you zig when you should have zagged, you end up on a farm in WA 400 k's away, right? To the point where the farmers consistently find people that was just going for a walk in the bush on their land, and like, oh, were you at what's the name, National Park? Oh yeah, we were. Where are we now? Oh, you're about 300 k's away. Come in, we'll give you a feed and take you back in the morning. Right? And that's just something that happens out there, right? So there is ways to travel, right? Yeah, and this is, I don't know, Mr. Foyds wasn't here. I don't know whether you were here earlier, mate. We were talking about that maybe there was a society that where science and spirituality were one. Okay, so in order to believe in portals, man, you got to release your three-dimensional reality. You know what I mean? Like, because realistically, our eyes, we only see 1% of what's going around us. No, it's totally fine, man. It's totally fine. I enjoy the back and forth, right? Because it's like, not to quote Matrix, but there is no spoon. You know what I mean? Right? When you're trying to make the spoon bend, what you need to understand is there is no spoon. If we're talking about the five elements, we're talking about
boys, I'm sort of a bit on the edge with the portal thing too.
Anthony's on the edge with everything. That's where he gets me on here.
Everything. Skeptical about everything.
It's all right, man.
Nothing's real.
Exactly. Nothing is real. But the thing is, boys, is that am I open to the fact that I might be wrong as well? You know what I mean? I am totally open to that. Now, this is just
absolutely.
There is a faith that there's portals, man, and it's through story and all that sort of stuff, right? So I know Mish wants to hear the story, right? So we did a
hang on, we've got Mel here, so we've going to leave
Hold
that
up,
as
Mel.
a
Oh, she's gone again.
Well, she just did, yeah. Mel, I was going to say, we'll leave that to the very end as the encore.
Hmm.
So wherever Mel went, I would go at her, and then she disappeared on me. Like,
Yeah, she pops in and out. It's all right. We're figuring it out, man. It's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
all good.
limiting mental constructs, man. That's a really good. I like that how that's put there, because this is what we're talking about. I think we talk about ufology, right? Ufology goes back thousands of years. This is not, yes, okay, the Foo Fighters in the 40s have brought it into the modern constructs, and our advances in aeroplanes and aviation have fed that curiosity. But there's echoes of, lights turning 90 in the sky in basically every culture around the globe. So where did they come from? Are they keeping an eye on us, right? And, I think one of the comments earlier, we're all in a simulation. The math suggests that is the point, right? That we may be, and we wouldn't know if we were, right? This is
Nah.
I mean, what is VR now? What is the metaverse or whatever the bloody hell it is? I saw some dude the other day cruising around on a electric scooter with the Google glasses on, doing the Minority Report. You know what I mean? Like he's got, what are
we're
we
all staring
talking
and looking
about?
this way. Look, this guy's weird. Look at him doing stuff.
It's like it's fascinating, right? But again, it could all be bullshit as well. Look, Azuda ETs, I could buy that.
Mate, I say it all the time. We're an alien ant farm.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about things that are unique to this planet, there's really only two things. One of them is wood, curiously, and the other one is life, right? And food. Yeah, channeled stuff is interesting. Law of One. I mean, look, one of the things I didn't know where this was going to go, so I was going to pull out Triptych Echoes. That was going to be the slideshow I was going to think about going through tonight if we couldn't come up with anything, but I knew we would. But if I can chuck this up here. Alien Ant Farm. Look, I agree. I can, of all the theories, are we genetically modified and are we an alien ant farm? Maybe. So a lot of this stuff's based on Casaro stuff, right? And basically, it's the echo of three. Okay. And we talk about law of one. That's basically we are God, right? And what is the echoes, right? When we talk about these God self icons, I mean, this is a whole. There's Mason stuff, there's pyramid stuff, right? I mean, this is an interesting. Casaro has disappeared off the thing now. He did these two books. I've got the two books. However, the symbolism and everything that echoes through here. I mean, you see that there? That's the flower of life, right? If you extrapolate the Nibiru orbit, that's pretty much what it looks like, right? Which is a bit scary. And so Mr. Yeah, was Jesus just a good magician for his time? Maybe, right? What if it's an echo of technology? Okay. If we, I mean, the thing about the Bible stories is how you interpret them, right? So theoretically, the three wise men were followed by a light or guided by a light in the sky to Jesus. Now, is that a UFO experience, or what are we talking about here? Right?
Yeah.
And are these churches, these Gothic cathedrals, are modern megalithic representation? Because a lot of these major cathedrals and churches, they line up with the winter solstice and the summer solstice, right? And a lot of them are built on sacred ground that was sacred ground before they got there. So it's an interesting one. You know what I mean? It's fascinating.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a what's the Matrix, right? We're just a virus. We move to somewhere, we consume all
Yeah.
the natural resources, and then we move on. And it's hard not to see that, right? It's hard not to see that darker. Our solar system is a living being. I think everything. I think the whole thing's alive, right? Again, it takes, what are we saying? Limited mental constructs, right? I like that term. Release those limiting mental constructs, right? What if um, Mr. Foyd's, we started with Easter is where we started, and the symbology of Easter and the pagan understanding of Easter. That's where we started all this. That's where we entered the rabbit hole tonight.
It was.
Yeah, maybe not is probably what I'm going to say to that. I'm not going to say either way, right? I mean, yeah, I think
I'll get back to this.
iron. Yeah, was Jesus just a good magician? What if it? I mean, one of the concepts we had it unlocking the code, and we discussed. It's like, what if there was leftover technology, right? So it's sort of like, what if you had a solar powered iPad, right, that still had all the data on it that told you how to do agriculture and all these magical things, right? And eventually the charge ran out, or it broke, or whatever it is, right? Because I mean, it's like, it's just like magically 11,000 years ago we figured out how to farm and do all this thing. We figured it out at the same time across the whole planet, right? We were told, right? It's pretty simple. I think we were told, we were shown.
Yeah, I'm getting vibes like I'm sure you would have seen the movie back in the day, Time Machine, I think it's called. When he's gone in time, gone to the future. They've got all this bloody futuristic holographic sort of stuff there, and then he's gone to the future again. Like the world's gone into a big cataclysm. It's reset. Everything's gone to shit. New civilizations have built up there, but the old technology is still there. Like that ghost hologram is still there. He goes, hey, I remember you. You've worked out bloody time travel. Wow, good on you. But could that have been something that's sort of similar being found in the past there? Where that technology has been found, and vice versa.
Yeah, you're totally right there, mate. And we sort of discussed that as well. We're talking about Pluto and the Greek and Roman gods a little bit earlier, and yeah, it is an echo, right? So, the modern monotheistic religion is a sun worshipping cult, pretty much, right? I mean, that is what it is. I think the key, and especially with the triptych stuff that I was sort of brushing upon there, which again that's a finished slideshow, but it's old, because I've actually taken a lot of photos myself. There's actually triptych symbology here in Queensland. There's all sorts of stuff that I've seen that is wound into all our massive churches, which is it's one of those ones, once you see, you can't unsee. And it does go back with the Masons, and again, we probably don't have time for that tonight. Yes, right. And see, this is we get stuck in the 3-dimensional stuff, whereas Sally's totally right. We are just energy waves. You know what I mean? We are just. This is the thing. Okay. Look, I've had over the last couple of years, I've had a few experiences with some mushrooms, right? And my last experience, I was just an energy wave, to be perfectly honest, right? I was just, I was like a vibration in the universe there for a little while. It was a very, very odd experience, but that's seriously where I was at. And I think, I mean, there's the, if we go back to the evolution thing, there's the stoned ape theory, right? So it's about the monkeys ate mushrooms and that's how they became human. That's one of the theories. I don't think so. I think genetic modification is definitely there. Dream, you reckon, Sally? Not sure about a dream. Let's go with experience. So we don't be too negative.
Yeah, I'd love to have a better dream than this. I really would.
Yeah, exactly. Like if this is it, then I want off the ride. Can we? Not right now. I'm happy talking to you. In general, let's go somewhere.
Let's want a better dream.
I think I saw a reel the other day, and I didn't confirm or deny whether this is true, but apparently NASA reckons they've seen a planet that's got lights on its surface. I don't know how they do that. but it's like 7 trillion miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reel's like 7 trillion miles. Oh, what's the cost of living like there? You want to go or what? Yeah, yeah. Let's
The
go.
thing I don't get though is like, okay, they claim that they can like, I think it's like that Tyson fella. He mentioned this. Like, if you look at, well, if an ancient civilization or alien civilization was supposed to be looking at us through a telescope now, through us, and they're looking at Earth and seeing where we are. Apparently, we're supposed to be back in like the dinosaur age. That's what they'll be looking at, dinosaurs roaming the Earth instead of us right now.
Yeah, so
Because of
technically,
the whole time.
because of
Yeah.
the time space thing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, we're looking into the past. Is that used to be the explanation we got at school and stuff like that? The further you look out, there we're looking further back into the past. Which, is this planet that's 7 trillion miles away? If that's true, are we looking back in time, right? I mean, it's again going back to I don't think we know, right? Yeah, well, look,
Yeah,
is
because
it?
that ancient civilization, if we consider the life that they must be millions of years old and very well advanced than us.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a few interesting. Look, the James Webb Telescope has sent back some interesting images, some more detailed images, and it's doing more deep space scans. But it's infinite. You know what I mean? Like and it's infinite from one place to the other. Like we're trying to grasp infinity, and I think, we go back to like, is this heaven or hell? Is it purgatory? Is it a simulation? Part of me wonders if, because it's like, sure, we've got a camera, right? Right. So we know what's
Hmm.
going on behind us. Okay. But one of the trippy thought processes is like, how do you know what's going on behind you? You can't see it. Is there anything going on behind you?
Yeah.
Do you actually, you know what I mean? Are we creating our own reality as we see it and as we look at it? Um, you know, it's, yeah, it's D all the above, right? It could be everything. I think that's the thing. You stay in the rabbit hole too long. Who knows where you're going to end up? That's the problem, right? Right? Yeah. Because I mean, we were both miners, mate. That we just found each other down the mine shaft. We're 3 k's deep. We got no torch, right? You know what I mean? We're out of food. Just found another weirdo in the dark, and it's like, yeah, stay with you, man. Stay here. What are we doing?
I get that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. When we say just found it, we're talking about the technology and stuff like that. Is it both interdimensional and three-dimensional at the same time? That's an interesting question, right? Are three-dimensional solid craft coming through interdimensional space? Maybe. Is anti-gravity technology incomprehensible from space and time anyway, because you are punching a hole in gravity and therefore time and the ether, right? So it's I mean, do you think it's just a money thing? Like, there's obviously the money, the power, and all that sort of stuff, and the contracts, and they want their war, and like there's all that. But it's
There's got to be more to it.
yeah,
There's a bigger picture.
I wonder, right? And look, Mr. Foyds is right. Existence itself. If you sit there and actually just, I tell you what, one of the times. I can think I went to, it's called Majura Pass. So you're passing through South Australia into Western Australia on the Nullarbor, and there's this spot called Majura Pass, and I was driving across Australia solo, and I pulled up at Majura Pass. I could bring up a photo. The photo doesn't do it justice, but because I was by myself and I'd been on the road by myself for a few weeks, and actually curiously, that's an interesting perception. This experience I'm about to tell you about happened like 3 or 4 days after my first proper DMT experience, right? I had DMT and then kept going west, ended up at Majura Pass, and I pulled up there in the morning and the sun was coming up and the fog, and Majura Pass is the middle of nowhere, right? There is nothing for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, right? And I remember just going, wow, like we're nothing, right? We're a drop in the ocean. The ocean forgot about. You know what I mean? We're a piece of dust on a piece of dust on the eyelash of the universe. Basically, it's
Yeah.
but the human existence, when we're talking about like this, right? And how I used to, and I still, it's like on one hand you are, like I said, a drop in the ocean forgot about, right? On the other hand, you are the most powerful creator that ever existed ever. And the idea of being human is you must exist between those two places. Um, and it's quite fascinating. We talk about being heaven for Jeff Bezos and stuff like that. I think that the time of celebrity is over. I think the time of materialism is over as well. I think I could share I'll share a story, right, about capitalism versus that sort of stuff and how we've got the wrong idea. Long story short, I worked up in Papua New Guinea for a few years through the 2000s, right? And it was a guy by the name of Jack, national PNG dude, lovely guy, Wontok. Actually, Tumble, because he was basically brother. His family is Tumble in Pigeon. And long story short, turns out he had angina, right? And basically, he thought he was having a heart attack. I ran him up to the hospital. Different perceptions, right? He couldn't understand what the doctor was really saying because they're different culture. And he thought I'd saved his life, right? Which, if I wasn't there, he probably would have been in a lot of trouble. It was at night shift, blah, blah, blah. It's a longer story. Again, long story short, he invited me into his tribe. He was one of the chiefs of his tribe in Papua New Guinea in the New Island province. And I got to spend 2 days there, or 2 nights and 2 days. And I tell you what, man, at the morning of the second day, I was like, how do I stay here? Because, so just picture this for a second, right? Beautiful village. Now, it was dirt, but they would literally sweep the dirt, right? So it was perfect, right? Massive veggie patch, pig pen, big communal fire pit, like all big bamboo huts that would survive a cyclone all around the edge, like, sort of circular type manner, few other structures and stuff like that. Beautiful bay, right? So the first night I'm there, I'm like, what are we having for dinner? And one of the Wontoks walks into the ocean with a spear and just goes bang, and then like fish, right? Like that. Just 3 steps, bang, right? Um, yeah, I thought long and hard. I was drilling up there. I was due back on the oil rig that I was working on, and I thought long and hard about how could I stay, because it's like after 48 hours of that, it's how we're supposed to live, man. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a communal thing too. So like Jack, as one of the chiefs of his tribe, made pretty good money as a good welder. He gave something like 75-80% to the village, right? Kept some for himself for his smokes and his buoy and his alcohol, right? But he gave the rest of the thing, right? So then, let's say someone needed to get married or someone needed a doctor's appointment or something like that. You pull out of the treasury, right? So everybody gives a percentage of what they own to the village. You don't need food because there's vegetables and everything there, and pigs and fish, and so you don't really need food, right? Because they have a different concept of food. It's not all in plastic. You know what I mean? And it was just amazing, dude. And it was just something like primal about it. It's like we've got it all wrong. We've got it all wrong. This is what we're doing is not right. We're not honoring what a human truly is. And you talk about those billionaires and all those massive houses. Statistically, they only use 3 rooms of those giant houses.
Yeah.
It's not like they use the 23 bathrooms. They use 3 rooms. They use the bedroom, the kitchen, the lounge room, and a playroom or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not like you couldn't be in every room of those houses. It's we've got the wrong idea, and that was a very formative experience, because it's like, that's what we're supposed to do, man. That's what we're supposed to do, right? It's like, yeah, how do I stay here? Because it's that, and it's like when you come to economies. I know someone said about money earlier, right? Yeah, minimalism, right? You don't need most of your crap. You measure economy in dollars, right? In money, Okay. And it's like Africa, some of the African countries are poor. Are they though? They're communities, right? They got chickens, they got cows, they got veggies, they got this, they trade, they barter, you know, they've got different skill sets. I'll do this for you. If you do this for me, and I'll give you some eggs and you give me a goat, and everything's cool, right? This whole money thing is a construct as well. And it's not even real anyway, right? You know, I mean, you know, I always think
anymore.
about fight. No, it's not. What you know, I mean, when Fight Club came out in 1999, it's even worse than that now. It's still all. It's more digital now than it was back then, right? It's not anything else, you know. So, you know, I think, so yeah, we give it power, right? That's the, you know, and we go back to religion. That cross
Well,
has got
unfortunately, we give
so
it
much.
power because we don't have much of a choice otherwise.
We're material girls in the material world, mate. You know what I mean? Like that's the,
That's right.
you know,
That's right.
bread and
Anyway, mate, look, we'll get close to finishing up, mate. If you want to go on,
you gotta get
go
going.
on,
Yeah, you pulled my
go
string
to the
again.
encore for your
Yeah.
story.
So no, Anthony's working, and I've got to work tomorrow as well. Even though it's Good Friday, got to do what we got to do, don't we? So
That's it.
paranormal.
Keep the rich richer.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another day, another 15 cents.
We are.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Oliver Anthony's Richmond. Oliver Anthony's Rich Men North of Richmond is what we, you heard that song? Everyone listen to that song. Anyway,
They're gonna have.
all right. Well, you need to. Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. Okay. I've been using it on the podcast actually. It's a modern protest song. They don't think that you know, but
Oh, I
I
might
know
have heard
that
of
you.
them actually.
Yeah.
I think I have.
So yes, trying to adjust. So yeah, I was thinking about paranormal stuff, right? And I don't know, I'm sure I didn't share this story. So the other thing is too, guys, is that the reason that I have such a varied perspective is that I've had a lot of experiences. I've seen some stuff that I can't explain. So because I've seen things that I can't explain, that leads me to believe that there's things that are out there that I can't explain, right? So, and this is one of those things. And so about 17 again, this Northern Territory in Nhulunbuy, in Gove, in Arnhem Land. They've got a bauxite mine there. And I had like a room, and I had, you know, like the old bunk beds, man. You had the top bunk, and then the other one would come out like an L shape, right? So like it wouldn't be underneath you. You like it'd slot on under there, right? And I had my own room, but I had the bunks in there, and there was the bed down below, and I was staying on the top bunk. And I remember waking up one night and seeing this shadow in the corner of the room, right? And it really freaked me out, obviously. And I'm like, what is that? And it's hard to describe. It came back for a little while, right? Came back like I would wake up in the middle of the night, and this is over the period of a few weeks where I'd wake up and this shadow would be there. And over the course of time, I'm not saying that I saw it, right? But it wasn't malevolent, okay? It was scared, right? And I got the idea that it was a child of some kind, right, that was hiding in my room, and it was just it was a spirit, it was something, right? It was a shadow, and it was a very interesting experience because it happened over weeks, yeah. And I remember sort of sitting up with this thing, and I started talking to it because I became aware that it was a something, right? It was something that was there. I don't think a shadow person, man. I think, I mean, when we talk about Arnhem Land, we talk about the indigenous culture that is ingrained deeply in Arnhem Land. I think the spirits of indigenous cultures, they understood different ways, right? I got the idea that it might have been some sort of indigenous spirit, to be perfectly honest. That was my instinct. Okay. A child, a little girl, actually, right? And I remember it's not like this thing was talking back to me. Okay. It Oh, look, I the first few times, man, it happened, I was frozen with fear. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I'm all tough. No, I was scared. Like, what is that? And it wasn't going away. You know what I mean? And you turn the light on and it disappear, and then you turn the light off and then it'd appear, right? And it's, yeah, well, it was crouched in the corner, right? No, and that's the thing, guys, right? When you it took some time, but I realized there was nothing to be afraid of. And I realized it was afraid. Whatever it was afraid. Okay. And so I started talking to this thing, and I remember one night I'm like, I had the spare bed there. And I'm like, if you want, it's okay with me. If you want to, you'll be a lot more comfortable and in the bed if you want to come and get under the blanket, and just then you can be nice and safe and warm and everything will be okay. Right. And basically it stayed in the bed for 2 nights and left, and I never saw it again. Now, I don't know how to explain that, right? I don't know. And it wasn't like there was a lump in the doona or anything sort of weird like that, but the energy was no longer in the corner. And it's like it stayed in the bed one night, right? And then the next night it came back and went back to the corner. I said, listen, you're okay. You're fine. Everything's fine here. Stay in the bed and you'll be fine and you'll be comfortable. And then, like, I woke up the next day and I knew it was gone. It was gone forever, right? So it's like, did it want comfort? Did it need to be comforted? Did it, you know what I mean? Like, why? And I didn't think I shared that when I think last time. And it's, no, I don't want to give away how old I am, but this was in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. This was in the late 90s that this happened. So no, I don't think I even had a camera back then. Definitely no camera phones.
We would have the old bloody wind-ups.
Yeah, I think I had the disposable ones. But it was like, it had happened in the witching hour too, but like between like 12 and 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like that's the witching hour for these things. So yeah, I did. I felt better. I felt like it was something that needed to be done. You know what I mean? Like, I think it felt better, and she felt better, and I felt better. Because I think there was some completion there. There was an acceptance as well, because I was scared. I'm not going to, anyone that says they're not scared is lying when they see these things. But it's about what do you do with that fear and understanding it. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's interesting. So, yeah, I didn't share that one with you last time, but yeah, that was.
I'm thinking that
you
maybe
in the late
did it
90s,
for the Halloween special.
I'm not sure. I wasn't. We said the thing is we had the Halloween special. We had the background effects, and we went for like 4 hours or something. I don't really remember.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, no, it went for a while there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you might have. I'll have to go back through it. If anyone who has listened to that one, feel free to go and back us up on that one.
But yeah, no, I just thought, we always get new people come on, and I really appreciate that. So, and I think, we go back to, some of the stuff that they've been talking about in the chat, right? In order to have a deeper understanding in that moment, I had to release the limiting potential. You know what I mean? Right? It's like I had to release that it was bad, or you know what I mean? Like it's a shadow being and it's darkness. No, it wasn't, right? It was an energy that was scared, and it was looking for refuge and compassion and kindness, I think. And having the, it's one of those stories that I didn't really share for a long time, because it's like, was it even real? You know what I mean? Was it real? And we go back to, do I actually really know? No, I don't. I don't know whether that was real or not.
Well, it could have been like a test or something.
Yeah, test. That's a good way to put it, right? Like, how do you react to something like that? Is it a test of character from the universe? You know what I mean? It's like, do you, try and throw the cross and holy water at it, or do you, recognize that it wasn't malevolent. It didn't want to hurt anybody. It was, as I say, it was hiding from something. And when it left, as I say, it stayed one night, came back the next night, pretty much, it was in the bed properly from the jump, pretty much. Because I said, "You're okay. You can come in." And then it left, and I knew that it was gone, and it was better. Like everything was cool. Whatever was supposed to happen happened. So that's well, mate. I'm sure you've got to get up early and get to site. So I've got an early start tomorrow as well.
That's all good, mate. Yeah. Mate, we can't help ourselves, mate. Every time we do this, we're nearly punching on 2 hours, if not more.
I know. Just so you know that me and Anthony, before we hit live, we're like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Here we are, an hour and 40 minutes later, and we barely brushed upon 10,000 different things. So, I do appreciate it, man. I really appreciate the engagement from the watchers and the listeners of both our shows. I really appreciate that. And look,
absolutely.
love and patience. Can I just say love and patience to my listeners? Okay, I've been working through some stuff, and I've got some stuff, and I'm on my way back, readjusting, refocusing, re-engaging, and sometimes we need to do that. UTC is definitely not over, and I will. It's things like this that spur me on. And I'm pretty sure that's what Anthony does to me. He's like, I haven't heard from Triffon in a while. I'm just going to poke him and see whether or not he'll come on the show.
Pretty much. I knew something was happening in the background. I'm like, this song's going to be coming out soon. Like, surely he's coming out. I was like, hey, what's he doing here? Poking prodding. Like, hey, what are you doing?
No, Mr. Foyds, I still need to know what a Foyd is. You're leaving me unsatisfied. However, as I say, I really appreciate all the comments and I enjoyed this one, man, because we didn't really have
Love it.
I wasn't trying to push through on a narrative, you know what I mean? So
so it just went wherever.
So Mr. Foyds with the DMT was I was
going to say Royds.
Yeah. No, I was young. I may or may not have experienced the Mary Jane by that stage, but that was about it. I hadn't done any of that sort of stuff. So no, it wasn't that. That was I was as I say, in the 90s, before all that sort of stuff. But well, mate, let's if you want to wrap it up, we can. I really appreciate the invite, and unless anyone's got one more question, do you want to do one more question?
No, and thanks, Sally. You're saying what I was thinking on that one. Destroyed by Royds. I was thinking the whole time, like, I'll be nice. But look, we really need to work out how we can. I really need to work out how we can get the listeners to go and join in properly. Whether it be like, well, you got to tell me in the chats here. Like, would you prefer a phone line or keep trying to go with the link here and get in directly? Because I need to get a better setup and work shit out properly. It's not working as smoothly as I'd like it to, unfortunately. If you guys have any feedback, by all means.
You're operating off your tablet as well, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're not operating off the computer, so you got limited capabilities.
So when I've got the proper setup back home in the studio there, I can go and hopefully set up a phone line there. But obviously by this way here, I can go by link. Sorry to Mel, who didn't get a chance to get on here with whatever was going on there.
Where did Mel go? I was looking forward to hearing what she had to say. She didn't make it in.
She came back and then she disappeared again. This is a better go and get her in, but anyway.
No, it's okay. And look, the thing is, I enjoy the comments. I enjoy the live comments. I think.
That's,
to be honest, when Anthony asked me, "Do I want to come back?" That's the reason I come back. I like to talk to you as well, man. But I like the engagement. You know what I mean? I like you guys like poking me, and it's fine. I'm easily provoked.
Bogey. That's not my stick either. Anyway.
Actually, we need to talk offline. I want to ask you a couple of things about stickers and stuff like that. So.
Okay, no worries. But look, guys, I think we'll finish with it. Also, Triff, give yourself a bit of a spiel, mate. Those you already have tonight, but where can people find you and get in contact with you and give you a listen? Give
Yeah,
yourself a bit of
cool,
a plug.
guys. Look, unlocking the code. I am not engaging with social media as much as I used to, but I am on Instagram and Facebook. I got kicked off Twitter or X a little while ago. I'm not on TikTok. Like I said, I don't engage with social media as much as I used to. I think it's part of the problem, not part of the solution, to be perfectly honest. However, I probably should find a balance there. But yeah, on all podcast apps, Spotify, YouTube, yeah, it's mainly audio based. There's 215 odd episodes. I think the last one that was released was with John Shaughnessy, and he's done some very interesting research about the pyramids and what the pyramids actually are. We talked a lot about the moon there as well. He's got some interesting thoughts on the moon, which I was going to talk about that actually, that it was parked there to provide balance after the cataclysm, which because it's the magnetic pull stabilize the oceans, which actually makes sense, man. It really makes sense because there is cultures that say before the moon as well, right? Yeah, look, social media is, as I say, as much as this is awesome, and I really, really appreciate these experiences. We lost our way with social media a little bit, and I think. But on the flip side, I wouldn't be here, and Anthony wouldn't be here if we met on social media. You know what I mean? So it's like
That's it.
it's a very, very valuable tool. However, yeah. But no, unlocking the code, guys. Yes, Sally. See, they keep trying to poke us, man. Yes, it's been parked there. The moon's been
I
parked there.
was about to poke myself there, go and say, well, who comes up with the idea to go park a moon there? Like, let's get a big round ball and just throw it in the sky and go, yeah, that solves all problems. Who comes up with that?
Well, it had to be a certain density and a certain mass, and it had to affect the gravity in a certain way to balance it. You know what I mean? It's and that's what I mean. Intervention, right? Intervention. Okay,
Yeah.
I think yeah. But again, it could be made of cheese as well, right?
That's right. Yeah.
It could be. We don't know though. I haven't
The
been
men
there.
on the
Have you
moon,
been
they
there?
were eating all the cheese.
That's right. Yeah. No, look, I think look, actually, Mr. Foyds makes a good point, right? The last few times that, look, trying to get blokes of our generation together at one space and one time, sort of like trying to herd cats. However, the last few times that we've done it, what we actually did is put our phones in a basket. And that's what we did. And I encourage everybody to do that and just be in the moment with other people. Because you talk about being in the moment. That's what I experienced in that village. The Easter Bunny lives on the moon. He look probably. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. What's your Easter
we all
specials,
know
mate?
how we all know how Easter eggs get made, right? So here we go. Hang on that way. There we go. That's how Easter eggs are made.
Yeah, there's your symbols of fertility. Take
That's
that
right. And you're saying rabbits do what they do.
Yeah, rabbits do what they do. Yeah. My kids were around at that point. Rabbits, fuck, mate, is what they do. Okay, that's what they do. Yeah, kids are in bed now, but yeah, look, man, I really really appreciated that. These are fun, and I do enjoy the engagement. And look, probably the next big project for unlocking the code for those in Southeast Queensland, I will be. I'm sort of putting myself on the block here saying this. However, I am going to put a little conference together. Like I've got 5 or 6 slideshows. I've got 10,000 hours worth of stuff that I've looked at and put through. And I am a teacher by day. And I think I'd really like to, instead of presenting the same bullshit that I present every day, I'd really like to present something that I'd like to present. And so I don't know, there's actually a little church in my town where I'm at, just in Southeast Queensland. So I'm looking to maybe hire that in the next little while. And I will talk to Anthony about how we can try and stream it, or I don't know whether we can get fancy with that. But yeah, so we'll get, and yeah, some of the loyal UTC guys have asked for stickers and T-shirts, which is, I suppose I need to give into that. So that's why I need to talk to Anthony about where he gets his from. And yeah, that's it, man. That's it. I haven't got much
Just
else.
be careful, mate, when you talk to him in that church there, mate. You might get smited by God there by talking all these truths.
Well, do you know what's funny is that it's a basic church, right? But it's got the 3 windows, man. So it's like even in a basic wooden church, there's a triptych echo in there. It's really cool.
Nice.
I'm not saying it's there on purpose, but it's just it's an architectural echo of the symbolism, which is cool. But look, the thing is, what I want to do is, because I know, look, I've got listeners that are all over Australia and all over the world. So what I want to try and do is, because we have the technology now, you know what I mean? I can set this camera up and I can connect it to the computer, and we could have people there. Obviously, I'd love to see some people there, and meet some of you guys face to face. It'd be really cool. However, for those that can't do that, then we can organise a thing through StreamYard. I'm sure we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. For sure. That's good. We'll get there, mate. Absolutely. So, all right, mate. We'll leave it there.
See, Mish keeps up. I can't. What national park? It's the one that borders WA, right? So it's like what's it called? I can't remember, but it's in like the north. It's along the western edge to the northeast corner of South Australia. There's a national park there somewhere. I can't remember what it's called, but it's in there somewhere. I'm sure if you Google
I get it. So you go to the borders there, there's a cave there, and you go through the cave, through the border, and then you're in WA all of a sudden from South Australia.
Yeah. It's like a border. Yeah, but yeah. No, yeah, it's not. But it's like 200 k's. It's not like you just wander across. Oh, I'm in WA. Oh man.
It's like going from the Gold Coast to Tweed. Like I'm going through a portal.
Yeah. Went under the airport tunnel, and I went through a portal. Yeah, skip states. Yeah, but no, guys, I really appreciate that, and appreciate everyone's time. And these are cool. I like doing them. So you guys will see me again, and we'll me and Anthony will do something else in the future, for sure.
Absolutely. Righto, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Great having you in the chat there, and absolutely awesome.
And that will do it, folks, for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the show. And don't forget, if you or someone you know has had an encounter, please get in touch with me to be featured on the podcast. If you're a fan of the show, you can support the podcast by purchasing some awesome merchandise that's available on our online store via the link provided in the episode description. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Encounter Down Under. Hooroo!